Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we will see how to create a 3D image gallery with the help of CSS and HTML. Okay, so it's an interesting project which you can also do. You can also, play with the CSS and add some 3D animation effect. Okay, so I'll show you like how the 3D gallery looks like. So it's something like this. Okay, it has a background and this is like a cube wherein all the images which you have, it will be there, and it's like a 3D effect wherein each face of the cube will be visible. Okay, so we have to create this. Okay, so let's get started and let's create this amazing 3D cube gallery. Okay, so first of all we will start with the HTML. Okay, so if we see the 3D cube gallery properly, there is a cube. So first we have to create the cube structure in the HTML. Okay, basically in the body section, uh, and then we also have to add the images. These two things are visible from this particular 3D cube gallery, okay, which we have to do it in the HTML. Okay, so let's start. So here in the HTML, first of all, let's start with the doc type. So here we can give the title as 3D image or 3D cube gallery. Okay, this is the title which we can give. Next comes up like we need to add the CSS as well. So for that, what we can do over here, we can just write that is a link. Okay, and this href we can keep it as blank so that we can add the CSS later on when we do the CSS part. Okay, this is done. Now next, coming up inside the body section. So inside the body, what we have to do is we have to first of all create the cube. So cube has 6 faces. So we first of all create a div which has the cube wrap inside it. Cube wrap means the faces of the cube. Okay, so I'll write div, I'll write class, and inside this I'll write cube wrap. Okay, and after this div I'll write div and then class cube. Okay, now once this is done, now we have to add the images to it, right? So how to add the images to it? So images has the cube. If we see the cube properly, it has front, back, left, right, top and bottom. These are 6 faces, right? So accordingly we have to add 6 images to it. Okay, so first of all we'll create a div, and this div will have a class which is, let's say we take it as front. Okay, the front face. Fine. So here you can add whatever image you want to, which will be there in the front face. Okay, so you can add like with the help of the image tag. Okay, so img, and in the place of source you can just add your link, the location where your image is actually saved. Okay, so let's say this is my location, so I write this, and now I add the name of the image which I have. Okay, fine, and after this I write elch equal to image1. Okay, so basically it will represent that this is image1. Fine. Now similarly we have to write it for the front, back, top, left, right and bottom. Okay, now if we just save this particular file, the 3D image, okay, and if we just refresh this, okay, now if you see it just has the front image which I have uploaded, the first image, it is there. Okay, apart from that no other images are there. Okay, so let's go ahead and then add the next images to it. Okay, that is for the front, top, I mean top, left, right, and bottom. Okay, so I'll just copy this, and here, let me close this div first of all. Okay, and after this, you can just place this and just change. I'll just change the image names over here. Simultaneously, you can also, change according to your image location and image name. Okay, and this is for image 2, and this is, since we have already created for front, so now we'll go for the back, right? So this I can write it as, okay. Now next we go for right. Okay, and this is the image 3, and you can change the alt image as alt tag, and this is image 3. Okay, next we go for, okay, let's close this div. Okay, so now next we go for the image 4. Okay, so this is image 4. I have the image name, and then let's change this one, so I'll do it as left. Okay, now close this div, and after this, next we will have the image number 5. Okay, so it has 6 faces, so 6 images. So this is this line of 5. Okay, and this will be right. Okay, now okay, so we have front, back, right, left. Now we should have top, right? So this is top, and then close this div, and next we come up to the bottom. Okay, so this is bottom, and this is image number 6, and the alt tag, you can change this. Now these are done. Now we'll close this div. Okay, and finally the rest of the tags will be closed. Okay, fine. Now what we have a cube, and for the cube we have 6 faces. Okay, and for the 6 faces we have these images added. Okay, so let's save it and let's refresh our web page and see how now it actually looks. Okay, so I'll refresh this. So now if you see, I have 6 images all together. Okay, so these are my 6 images which are there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is the 6th one. Okay, so right now what happened in our web page, 6 images got uploaded. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to style these images in the form of a cube, right? So for that, what we have to do is we have to do the CSS for these div elements. Whatever elements which we have created inside the div in the HTML, for that we have to add the CSS, right? So let's go to the CSS and let's add the CSS for each div. Okay, so first of all we'll work on the body. Body means the background. Okay, this particular background, the one which you see white over here, this one. So this is basically the body part, so we'll work on that. Okay, so we'll write body, and inside the body what we can do, we can add some background. Okay, so let's say I write, and we can also add some, like it should not overflow, so I'll write overflow as hidden. Okay, and the display should be in a form of a flex. Okay, and my cube should come in the center, right? So for that I can write align items to center. Okay, then you can also add the height, so I can take the height as 100 VH. You can adjust according to your need. Okay, I'll put some margin, and Okay, so we want to keep it as black as we saw, so I've just kept it as, okay, black. Fine. These things now, these are done for the body section. Okay, anything left? Okay, so we can also justify the content. It should be in center, whatever content we give it to the body. Okay, now it's done. Now the body part is done. Next, what we need to do is we need to go ahead for the cube wrap, right? Like the first div element, this is cube wrap. Okay, so now let me do something. We save this particular CSS. Okay, so we have given the CSS for the body part only, and I'll add the href link over here. That means the file, that is image.css. So the file name, this is image.css. Okay, I'll save this. Now let's see what's the effect over here. Okay, so when I do it, if you see right now, the background changed to black color because we gave black color to the body, and now the images are in the alignment. Okay, like this, it's in the center. Okay, so now next thing what we have to do is we have to work on the cube wrap, that is this particular div. Okay, so for that we have to do the CSS. Okay, so let's say we write dot cube wrap. Okay, and for that, so it's a cube, so we can give some width to it. So I'll take the width as 500 px. Okay, again you can change it according to your choice. I'll give some height to it, and I'll also give some perspective to it. Let's say 1000 px. Okay, now let's save it and let's quickly view it how this looks like. Okay, now if you see, it's something like this. Okay, now let's go ahead and continue further. Now next div comes up for the cube. Okay, this particular div which is cube, so we have to create the CSS for the cube. So here what do? We write dot cube. Okay, and inside this we write the width to 100 px, or I'll make it as 100%. Okay, and we can also give some height to it. Again, some position, so position I can keep it as relative. Okay, and I can also give it to, some, because I want it in an animation form, so I'll give the animation. So rotate like for 10 seconds in infinite layer. Okay, and what else we can do? We can also add the transform style. So we can take the transform style, and here we can add the 3D. Okay, so it should be in a form of a 3D, and it should be animated, like it should rotate every 10 seconds. It should show the faces which it has, like the 6 faces. Okay, so let's save it again and let's view our web page, the changes in it. Okay, now let's go ahead and add some more. So next what we have to do is we have to go ahead and do it for the next div element, that is the cube div. Okay, the div part, dot cube div. Okay, that means in order to make the cube functional, right? So for that what we can do, we can write dot cube dot div, and inside this we can write width as, let's say, 100%, and we can also give some height to it. Okay, next I'll give the position as absolute, and you can also give some background color to it. So let's say I give the background color as 2, and next I want to give some shadow to the box cubes as well. That means So we also give the box shadow. Next, what we have to do is we have to give the CSS for the front, back, right, left, top and bottom of the cube, right? So for that we'll write dot front, and then we'll write transform. Okay, and let's say I'll take it as the, so it's like a 3D. So first I'll take the Z and I'll give this as 250px, let's say. Okay, next I go for dot back. Okay, and here transform again. Now here it should rotate, the back should rotate in the y-axis, so I'll take rotate y. Okay, and it should be 180-degree, right? Then only all the faces will be visible. And I'll also give the translate, so I'll give the translate Z over here, and let's say this is also 250px. Okay, now this is done for the back. Next we go for the right, so I'll write dot right, and then inside this I'll write again transform, and again the right, left, these should go in the y-axis, right? So I'll write rotate y. Okay, and inside rotate y, now since it has rotated 180-degree, next what we have to do is we have to rotate it 90-degree, right? So 90-degree, and then the translate Z. So here again 250px. Okay, now next we go for left. Now again in the left we have to take the rotate y, so I'll take rotate y, and now what should happen, it should be like minus again. So let's do something, I'll do here minus 90-degree. Okay, and then we'll check out how it is looking like, and then we can understand like what changes we need to do, or like it's going right or not. Okay, so these things we did fine. So now let's go ahead and save this and check it in our web page. Okay, so now if you see, we see the first image. Okay, let me make it small. So we see this image, we see this particular image. Okay, that means that the axis has now been created, okay, in which our images are there. Now we have to add the top and bottom, and then further we have to rotate it, then only all the faces will be visible, right? So let's go ahead and add the, so front, back, right and left is done. Now let's go ahead and add top. Now at the top it should be again plus 90-degree, right? So for that we'll write transform and then rotate. Now it should be X and it should be 90-degree. Okay, and translate Z 250px. Okay, and for the bottom we write transform and then rotate X. Okay, and here again we will write minus 90-degree. Fine, and then translate Z should be X. Okay, done. Now if I just save it, and now when we refresh it and check it off, so let's see how it looks like. So now if you see, now we have the angles created. So this the back angles, this angle, each and every angles are now created. Now what we have to do is we have to go ahead and add the keyframe so that our cube gets its structure and it rotates, right? So for that what we have to do in the CSS, we will take @keyframes. Okay, so I'll give @keyframe rotate. Okay, and inside this what we can do, we can add like the transformation, how many degree it should rotate, right? So at 0% the transform should be 0 degree. Okay, so rotate X should be 0 degree. Okay, and rotate y should also be 0 degree. That means when it is at 0%, it should not rotate. Okay, that means the first face will come up. When it is at 100%, then at that point of time, the transform should be 360-degree rotation, right? Then only you will be able to see the all the faces. So here we'll write rotate x, and there we can write 360 degree. Okay, and rotate y, and here we can also write 360 degree. Okay, now this is done. Now again, let's save this and let's refresh. Okay, now when you see, now it is rotating in the axis. Okay, and it has all the images to it. Okay, now next is the image which we have, that is actually the cube. We need to set that up, right? So for that, we can write over here img, and then inside it we can write the width. Let's say it's 100%, and we can write the height 100%, and the object fit should be like cover. Okay, fine. Now let's save this again. So now this is what we got. So that's the output which we wanted. So our 3D cube gallery, or our 3D image gallery, is now ready with all the 6 faces, with all the images clearly seen. Okay, so this is how you can create one for yourself, like a project. Okay, like adding many features you can add to it, like the cube can open up both the sides. Okay, it can only like have a list of images right over here. Okay, and like from the images, when you selected any image, then only that particular image will show up. That can also, you can also add in the CSS. Okay, so these features can also be added into the CSS. Fine. So at the moment, if you see it's paused, so those things you can add, like when it rotate to the 90 degree, then it should pause. So that features you can also add in the CSS along with the JavaScript. Okay.